Hello. Thank you so much for joining me for tea at tea time at 40 Cador Street. I am happy that you returned. I want to talk about veterans today, not because I am a veteran and my husband's also a veteran. We have 50 years between us of military service, but because being a veteran is very important and they played an awesome role in the development and the freedom of the United States of America. On the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, we pay tribute to all military veterans. We owe a great deal of debt and gratitude to the men and women who have served in times of war and times of peace since the founding of our nation. I thank all veterans for a job well done and for the sacrifices that they made. Since the inception, the United States military has recruited teenagers to enlist in the military services. During the Revolutionary War, when military was finally established, young men were encouraged to fight for their country voluntarily. During the Civil War, conscription, essentially mandatory military enrollment for men of a certain age, was implemented initially, targeting young men from the age of 21 to 30. The draft was later expanded to include men as young as 18 and continued over centuries as a way to maintain a base of military service people. The draft ended in 1973. The military has relied on all volunteer service and has targeted young people using strategies that include placing recruiters in schools. This is allowed because of the No Child Left Behind Act, signed by President George W. Bush in 2002. It requires military recruiters to be granted the same access to schools as college recruiters. The military markets to teenagers, particularly those in poorer school districts, because the armed services need a large population, and the sooner young people join, the more likely they are to stay and build a career. According to the government records, 184,000 personnel must be recruited into the armed forces each year to replace those who complete their commitment or retire. Modern day recruiters sell the data of an experience that often resonates with young, poor students because for many, service with an honorable discharge can mean a free ride to college or potentially a path to citizenship. Only the United States Immigration and Naturalization Department can grant citizenship, but the military can only accelerate the process. If a person doesn't qualify for citizenship, they will still have to complete their service years in the military services. However, the majority of today's teenagers aren't interested in joining the military. According to a poll conducted in 2017 by the Department of Defense, only 14% of respondents aged 16 to 24 said it was likely they'd serve in the military in the next few years. My husband and I always prayed that one of our children would go into the military and do service in the military. Our youngest son enlisted in the Marines. We wanted him to do Army or Air Force, but he chose Marines. I started my career in the U.S. Air Force as an enlisted airman and got educated, earned a few degrees, and when the military had a shortage for nurses in 1989, they were on the hustle for nurses and they didn't care how old you were. So I decided I would go into the U.S. Army. I was direct commissioned as a captain. I didn't know anything about being an officer in the military. It was a whole new ballgame for me. At my first duty station at Fort Belvoir, Virginia, I remember walking down the road and going into the building, and my hat was on backwards. I did not know that. A young enlisted soldier stopped me, ma'am, saluted me, and said, "Your hat's on backwards." I was so embarrassed. I was saluting everybody all the way down that path with my hat on backwards, and I know they all noticed it. She told me that she was a soldier and had been in the military for a long time. She told me where she worked at in the hospital, and I found her. We became good friends, and she said, "I'll teach you everything you need to know." I've been around for a long time. We became best friends throughout our careers. Many young people don't think the military is for them. They feel as though they'll go in the military and they will be killed. Sometimes I think about that and think, you might be more times likely to get killed in the United States, in our cities, than you will be in the military. Sometimes I think they don't understand it depends on what career field you pick as to where you're going to be stationed and what you're going to be doing. However, I can understand a young person thinking that if I go in the military, I might get sent to war and I might die. That is reality. Recruiters are coming up with other things and other ways to attract young people. Sometimes there's a signing bonus of up to $6,000 and the first choice for their duty station stateside, and education paid for by the United States Military Services. The term poverty draft came about in the early 1980s to describe the belief that the enlisted ranks of the military were made up of young people with limited economic opportunities. It is a draft-like system. It pushes non-privileged people into enlisting because they lack access to jobs, income, and educational alternatives in their communities. Some might think that's a bad thing. Some might think it's a good thing. It depends on who you are and where you're coming from and what you want in life. The Junior ROTC is another federally sponsored program that operates in public and private high schools described by the government as character development citizenship programs, where they are trying to recruit young soldiers. Usually it is retired service people who help to train these young people in skill training and leadership in the Future Soldiers Program. There's also the delayed entry, make the military attractive to poor students whose college options may otherwise be limited. And one of the bonuses, so that the military doesn't get cheated out of their money, they assign us bonuses as far as the money the recruit cannot get until they complete basic training. Now, it doesn't come all at once. It comes in increments. As I said before, citizenship is another reason marginalized students may turn to the military. The program is called the Development, Relief, and Education for Alien Minors, the DREAM Act. The first of many programs and many versions introduced in 2001, but never passed. As an effort supported by the military, with the Department of Defense included it in its 2010-2012 strategic plan according to the National Immigration Law Center. At one time, a recruit did not have to have a high school diploma. Now, since 2017, military demographics report that nearly 66.4% of the total force has earned a high school diploma, a GED, or some college as their highest form of education. It is important to note that military isn't the only option for poor students who want to continue their education. At one time, in many families, that was the only way out, the only option for better education and to earn money and have a living. But now there are so many different things out there for people. Applications for federal student aid and other scholarships that students can get to go to school. But I feel personally that any young person that decides to go into the military services will be very happy with what they learn about who they meet, travel, people, camaraderie. There is nothing like it. And when you're in the military, everybody is one. Like they say, it's an army of one. So again, I commit to you that the military was an awesome adventure for me, personally. And I think that all the sacrifices that people have made for freedom in our country is more than awesome. And let's not forget the people who lost their lives fighting for this country. I think that we should remember that we look at somebody and say, thank you for your service, that we mean it from our heart, because they have lived in some hellholes and been through some trauma. And many of them go to the VA for help if they don't have insurance, and some don't, and some go to other places for insurance. I go to the VA for care because I earned it. My husband goes to the VA for care because he earned it. The VA doesn't cure all of our problems. I mean, there's red pills, yellow pills, green pills, blue pills, skinny pills, fat pills, little pills, big pills. There's all kinds of pills, but those pills just delay what we're going through. It's not a cure. Some of our veterans don't want to open up and talk about the emotional issues that they have, because many of them have too many to even describe or talk about here. And until they can open up and talk to somebody and feel comfortable, we're going to be losing veterans. We need to come up with a better mental health system, better healthcare system to help our veterans. I think the veteran service is overwhelmed with so many soldiers and recruits and members and veterans who are out of the service now, younger, much younger, and all the older ones are at the top of the list. There are so many. I go to the VA in Washington, D.C., and I know that they send us to outsources for care when they can't give us an appointment within a reasonable time. I think they're doing the best that they can do. I think they need more help, and I pray that they will get it. And I hope that everybody who has committed this life of being a veteran, hang in there. Things will get better. Don't give up. Never give up. You didn't give up in the military on the field. You didn't give up in garrison. Don't give up now. God got your back. That being said, I hope that all veterans had an awesome Veterans Day yesterday. Hope you continue to be what you be. Stay strong. Stay committed. And continue to be the best veteran that you can be. Have a great day. Goodbye.